Thank you everyone for joining today. This is the Mobrium webinar series, and I've been really looking forward to this specific event. James Ellis, as you'll see, has a lot of expertise and a lot of personality that keeps things fun and interesting. And honestly, the conversation today is going to be very insightful. I can tell you that already. So we're going to be talking about how to help job seekers be attracted to your business for the right reasons. And before we jump into it, I want to remind everyone that these events are SHRM PDC approved, so you'll get credits for attending and participating in this event. Watch for the follow-up.
Don't tell them it was me though.
Yeah.
Don't tell them it was me. Just keep pat, because SHRM does not like me. They don't invite me back to things. So yeah, just keep that hush hush.
Keep that on the down low. Got it. We'll make sure that it's focused on just the Mobrium webinar series, but you'll get the email with the activity code by Friday. So watch for that email within the next 2 days with the recording and your activity code. But it's my privilege to introduce James. So James Ellis is the founder of Employer Brand Labs, where he builds choosable employer brands for mid-market companies in weeks instead of months. His work replaces employer brand theater with a practical operating system teams can use immediately across job posts, outreach, career sites, and interviews. Based in Chicago, James's most recent book is the bestseller, Becoming Choosable. So yeah, tell us about the book too, James.
There it is. It's a real book. It's a real physical, smack you in the head kind of book. No, this is my 5th book. And so here's the fun thing about writing books. They make you incredibly wealthy. No, that's not true. Not even close. But it's interesting that, this is my 5th book and they have varying levels of promotion. I think my 3rd or 4th one, I kind of went here. Like, I think I wrote one LinkedIn post and put it out in the world, like there, whatever. I needed to get it out of my system. This was very much kind of if I had to write the last book, what would the last book be? And so the whole book takes everything I've been doing from employer branding for the last 12, 13 years. Wish I hadn't counted that much, and boils it down. But it does this funny twist where it says, every time I talk about employer brand, people kind of go, oh, it's that. Or they have these preconceived notions of what employer brand is all about and what it's supposed to do. And they're all just absolutely wrong. They all think employer brand is a big old deck and some pretty magic words, kind of like magic beans from Jack and the Beanstalk. You get some magic words and you say them to candidates and suddenly, I have 4 pillars, throw them at candidates. And they think magically that makes things better. And it does not. It's just not even close to does that. So what I wanted to do was say, if I invented employer brand from first principles and never, ever, 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 ever use the words EVP or employer brand, what would I write? And this is what I wrote. It's kind of a Trojan horse to get your boss to go, oh, wait, hold on. There's some thinking here that we can use. And they don't have to know that it's employer brand. They can just go, oh, it's about creating preference. It's about manufacturing choice. It's about understanding what candidates want and how to feed their motivators instead of just having to slap them amongst the face with job postings that say nothing and are expensive and all that other stuff. So it's a whole book on what employer branding could be if you started from a clean sheet of paper. And then the back half is literally a walkthrough of how you would build your own, what the process looks like, what the steps are. There's a whole map. It's a thing. So having published it, I think I get more people to buy the first book, which I'm like, no, I was really young and stupid then. Here's the new one. And so, but I can't really say that. So yeah, go check out that. It's available on Amazon because that's the way those things go.
It sounds kind of like reverse charades. Like you're describing what this is without saying it.
Yeah. It is meant to be, how do I sneak this one past the goalie so that your TA leader your TA leader has been in a company that had an employer brand and it cost a bunch of $1 billion to build, and it took forever to build. And what they got was a deck that didn't say much, but it was still 4,000 slides and it sat and collected dust. And that imprinted upon them that employer brand is bullshit. And I totally get that. And by the way, I swear, so sorry. But everybody knows, that kind of thing is what employer brand is, except that's not true. There's no rules around employer branding. The employer branding is really just, how do we help candidates understand why they should choose our company and our job over other options that they might have. And that option might be staying where they are. That option might be collecting unemployment. That option might be going across the street. That option might be starting a business. I mean, there's any number of options, but we, as in the recruiting biz, we kind of focus on how do I make my jobs look good so that it becomes attractive, but we forget that when everybody looks good, there's no value in looking good. There's no, like anybody, I'm just sliding right in here. I guess I'm just diving. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is an unscripted kind of presentation here. Presentation. So if anybody's seen like on Snapchat or TikTok, they have filters, right? That, you can look like a puppy or whatever, but there's one called Bold Glamour. And when you do it, you look good. Oh man. And I know what I look like. So I know that when I say I look good, I mean, that was a leap. That was some heavy lifting it did. It made my cheekbones look great. It made my eyes sparkle. It made my teeth whiter. It did nothing with my hair, but there you go. What can you do? There's only so much technology can do. But it made me look really good in that it made me look like a Kardashian. And if you used it, you'd look good and you'd look like a Kardashian. If anybody else used it, they'd look good. They'd look like a Kardashian because that's what the whole filter is supposed to do. So if everybody looks like a Kardashian or a Helmsworth or an Omar Epps, or you pick your flavor of choice, what's the value of looking good when everybody looks good? And that's kind of where we are in recruiting, where every career site comes out of the box looking pretty okay, right? Your job postings all get run through ChatGPT and Claude, so they sound pretty okay. Like there's no ugly anymore. And I'm old enough to remember when recruiting on the web was ugly. I mean, just, capital U, ugly. It was bad news. And we've all gotten past that because agencies like some I used to work for said, oh, you know what to do? If you look really good, you can beat your competitors. But when everybody looks ugly, looking good is a win. It's a completely valid strategy. But now that everybody looks good, looking good doesn't get you an advantage. It just kind of gets you back to baseline. Mm-hmm. And that is an expensive way to look and sound like everybody else. And that's kind of where I start. Like that's this idea of ultimately, if you're trying to get people excited about your roles or your jobs, your company, you have to stand out. You have to say, I'm not like them in some capacity, because every company looks good. And when every company looks good, they look the same. They all have that Kardashian kind of flavor to it. Mm-hmm. They all say, here, look at this award that says we're a delightful place to work. Hey, look, here are 4 values, one of which is integrity, to which I say, oh, you're the company with integrity. I've been looking for you all my life. I can't believe I finally found it.
This is the one.
At last. As if it's not on every flipping company. Here's the one that offers world-class benefits. Yeah, great. Good for you. When you all look the same, candidates don't know how to choose. And here's the real nitty-gritty of what's going on. When candidates can't choose, they choose on the only things that are objectively true. And when it comes to a job search, the only thing that's objectively true is the salary on offer, which is why your candidates are picking the salary that's higher, because they don't believe any of the crap that you guys are spewing or sticking on your career site saying how great you are. And look, let's take the delightful place to work. And I will not say the actual name of the award. I don't give them any more press than they actually, have. They don't deserve it. But if you've got yourself we're a delightful place to work award, and somebody else has an award that says we're a delightful place to work award, do you mean they're the same? No, it means you're just made some sort of criteria and paid the fee to get that award. And you can see all sorts of different companies that are so radically different in their culture, in their approach to how they hire, and their approach to how they reward, and their approach to how they recognize, and their approach of how they think about their talent, their approach, how they value their talent. And what's the purpose of having that award, right? I mean, not all companies, a place to work is not the same everywhere. Some places are all about performance. Some places are all about support. Some places are all about status. Some places are all about money. Some places are all about innovation. Some places are all about autonomy. Some places are all about freedom. Some places, and I could do that list all day long. Some places are about this thing that is not you. And so what's the value of that award? You all look the same. And a candidate just goes, you all look the same. Screw it. I'm just going to pick the one that pays me the most, because what does it matter? None of this is all real anyway. So if you're trying to get candidates who are good at what they do, and I'm here to talk about the candidates who are going to grow your company, not the people who are all butts in seats, entry level, intern, point of sale system, fold in your sweaters kind of people. I'm talking about the people who the decisions they make will actually define the direction and trajectory of your company. I mean, value creating people, the important hires, right? The ones that matter. That's what we're talking about. Not to say this doesn't apply to less valuable hires or more, kind of crunch the numbers and do the work kind of seat. But this is where the real clarity happens. You realize if I'm going to hire people who are going to change the trajectory of my company, well, remember every hire is a vote for the future of your company. Every hire is a vote for the future. So who are you voting for? Are you voting for the person who is easiest to hire? Or are you going to vote for the person who brings the most skill, the most expertise, who's got a different perspective, who can add value to the company? That's who you really want to hire. And most importantly, that's who your bosses want to hire. And that's who your bosses' bosses want to hire. And that's who your CFO and COO and CEO wants you to hire, for goodness sake. So picking the first person who's qualified and saying good enough, that may be easier for you, but it doesn't help grow the company. And that is simply the vote you have made for the company. Now, in order to hire the person who's going to put you on the right trajectory for your company, the person who's going to add real value to the company, who isn't going to be a seat filler, well, right now they have to pick on salary. And since you aren't work for Comp and Ben and you don't have that kind of power, you're stuck, right? You're stuck getting the B players and the C players, because the A players who's paying more money, they take all the good people and you're stuck with what's left. And if you play the game of recruiting the way everybody thinks you're supposed to play it, that is 1,000% correct. It's 1,000% correct, because that amazing career site that you just launched, guess what? The person who sold you that career site sold it 3 more times next week to 3 other companies. That amazing bot that you bought, and by the way, it was never amazing, but you bought it, you thought it was amazing for a hot minute, and they sold it for 20 more people the next day. It's not new. Your technology isn't interesting. Your technology isn't helpful. Your technology isn't driving the value. What drives the value is what the company offers. What the company offers. That's why you choose a job. You choose the company that offers you a salary and benefits and then autonomy or collaboration or support or whatever the heck it is. You have a choice you're making. You are motivated by something. Now, here's the truth. Matt, me, Afi, Scott, we are all motivated by different things. We all want different things in our jobs. Some of us want freedom more than support. Some of us want work from home more than anything else. Some of us want status more than anything else. There's no right answer there. It's you want what you want. You want what you want, baby. You want what you want, and that's fine. Now extrapolate that to every candidate you're talking to. They all want something different. And they live in a world in which everybody they talk to says the same damn crap. They say that they've got benefits. They say that they're a great place to work. They say that there's this blah, 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 blah. We've got values. They say the same stuff. But if you can come in and say, look, we've done the work. We understand what it is that we offer candidates. Yes, we offer benefits just like everybody else does. Yes, we offer 2 weeks vacation just like everybody else does. But we actually offer this other thing. That's the thing that makes you different. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't care about it, because to you, it's every day. To you, it's like asking the fish about water. That's just how we are. That's just what we do. And it is so insanely valuable because it's not something people can get everywhere. Let me tell you a story. So I was working with this company out of Utah, actually, which is interesting. And they were doing a rebrand and they were trying to figure some stuff out. And we were doing some interviewing and I'm trying to help them kind of nail down their talent strategy. And I start by always figuring out, what's your differentiated value? What's the thing that you offer that's different that other people don't offer? And man, that was the longest 45 minutes of my life. Like, I was interviewing the head of TA and the CHRO. And I'm like, okay, what makes this company different? Well, we really like each other. We really support each other. I'm like, okay. Don't roll your eyes. Don't roll your eyes. That's just my intro monologue. Don't roll your eyes. Everybody knows we like each other and we support each other, blah, blah, blah.
It's the people.
And I kept digging like with a pickaxe. Yeah, I know. But it's like, I was digging with like a pickaxe. I'm like, come on, you deeper. What else? What is this? What about that? Like, gotta find something. And after 45 minutes, I'm having this panic moment where I'm like, oh my God, I finally found the company for whom there's nothing different about them. They're saying the same blah, blah, blah stuff that everybody else has. That's all they got. I'm like, oh no, I'm screwed. I'm toast. Oh, what am I going to do? And literally 45 minutes into this conversation, 45, in passing, the head of recruiting says, yeah, like I got sick last week and they just DoorDashed some chicken soup to my house. I'm sorry, what? Say that again. And I'm like, this is a magical flippin' story. No one does. Goldman Sachs doesn't. Google doesn't do this. Meta doesn't do this. Nobody DoorDashes you chicken soup because you're sick. Are you kidding me? How do you not know how amazing a story that is? And that's just how it is that's our every day. So it's very, it's very common that when you're inside the pickle jar, it's very hard to read the label. So it's very hard, I get, to find the thing that makes you different. But once you find it, you have to prove it, because what you're really doing is saying, so think to that company. There are plenty of people who go, oh, yeah, cool. DoorDash soup to my house. I don't care about that. That's fine. That's fine. You were never going to be happy at that company anyway. You were more about performance. You were more about status. You were more about something else, but you didn't want support. But somebody will literally hear that story and go, I didn't even know I could want that. I didn't even know that was an option. And suddenly that company went to the #1 place on their internal list of places I would love to work. And it's like #1 and then a big gap to #2 because they heard a story that took 10 seconds to tell. And they went, I literally didn't know that was something we could want. We could ask for. That's not, I didn't realize that was something on the table for a job. And suddenly that person isn't just going to show up for work. They're not just going to apply for a job. They're not going to wait for the ZipRecruiter posting and go, yeah, sure, click, done. No, they're going to go, please, I want to work there. Please let me work there. Let me tell you why I'm so excited about this company. And they will be the vote you want to take to this company. And that is how you attract someone who isn't just looking for the money, because they're looking for the total value on offer. They want to know, let's see, like, can you imagine this? If you don't work from home, what would it be worth to you to get to work from home? Now, for some people, it's worth a salary of $10,000 a year to be able to work from home every day. Not even a question. That's not even a low. I mean, that's not even a high number. That's a low ball, I think, for a lot of people. For some situations, but there are some people for whom working from home is not valuable at all. They want to be in the office. They want to be seen. They want to have access to leadership so they can show what they're doing and learn about the company and kind of get that promotion. They're very promotion track oriented. So here's a value that you offer, work from home. And some people want it and some people don't. And that is 1,000% okay. In fact, that's completely rationally normal. Now, imagine that you want work from home. And there's two companies, and one company pays $100,000, and one company pays $110,000. And the $100,000 offers work from home, and the other one wants you in the office every single day. Suddenly, it's not $100,000 versus $110,000. Suddenly, it's a very different conversation because the value on offer is different. Now, work from home is a really easy way of kind of making that clear. Everybody knows what they value work from home, and most people want it, but a lot of people don't. What's the value of status? What's the value of performance? What's the value of support? What's the value of your company taking off 2 weeks every year, a week in July and a week in around Christmas, where the whole company shuts down so that you can take your vacation and not have to worry about your email piling up? What's the value of that to you? What's the value of working at a company that your mom knows what that company does? What's the value of working at a company where your customers are world famous? What's the value of working alongside people who are named in the industry and you're going to learn from them and make them part of your network? What is the value on all of it? That is the question every candidate is asking themselves when they look at your jobs. What am I getting and what's it worth to me? The problem is we don't do a very good job showing what you get. We kind of head nod to the values we listed on the career site. We kind of head nod to the world-class benefits. We kind of head nod of we're innovative. I love that one. We're super innovative. Good for you. What does that mean? And we think that we make these claims in our jobs and our career sites and our social posts, and we think that that means anything. But if we want people to make decisions about working for us based on the total value we have on offer, we have to prove that the value exists. Now, work from home is easy, mostly. Right? We've all seen the stories of people like, oh yeah, we offer remote work. And then you actually get in like, oh yeah, 2 days a week, you get to work from home sometimes. You're like, that's not remote work. That's not work from home. Well, yeah, that's the bait and switch. That is rare. But when the company says, oh yeah, we're super innovative, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean everybody gets a new laptop? It means everybody's got a whole lot of tokens they can use in Claude. What does that mean? Because we've all been in the situations where they work in these companies and we say, oh yeah, we're super innovative. And you walk in having applied through Workday and you're like, how innovative is this exactly? But you show up and they hand you a 3-year-old Dell and they're like, here you go. And you're like, wait, hold on. I thought you said you were super innovative. And then you get my favorite response, either from the recruiter or the recruiting leader or the hiring manager. And they say, well, and they answer the bullshit thing they got to say. Oh, well, when we think of innovation, we think about this. You're like, well, where was that information when I was looking for the job? No, that is stuff I needed before I said yes. You just said we're innovative and called it a day. When you say you offer status, when you say you offer support, when you say you offer collaboration, when you say you offer autonomy, when you say you offer transparency, when you say you offer all these things, show me what you mean. Define it and then prove it. And that is actually a really straightforward thing to do. Once you understand the thing that you offer that's different, proving it is straightforward. You can spend a lot of money doing it, but you don't have to. You can my kind of buckets of ways I find the proof are, first I look for the policy. What is the policy that supports this idea? Okay, You offer innovation. What's the policy that shows me innovation? What does that look like? Oh, everybody gets a brand new laptop every year. Okay, that's helpful. It's not the most innovative thing I've ever heard, but that's helpful. That helps me give kind of a shape, a definition of what innovation looks like here. Oh, we give you a whole lot of tokens. Okay, again, helpful. That's useful stuff. So show me the policy. You care for women in the workplace. Show me the policy for your FMLA. Show me that you offer more than the legal minimum of what you have to give women when they get pregnant. Show me the policy. That shows me the proof. 2, show me the money, baby. Show me the money. You care about innovation. How much did you spend on innovation? Because let's be fair, we are living in a capitalist society and these companies only spend money on things they care about. So thus, if they spend money on it, that's a thing they must care about. Beware the claim of the company that says, we care about this thing that does not spend any money on it, because that is called bullshit. What do they spend the money on? If you say you care about collaboration, that's a really nice that's a really nice thing to say. It's so sweet. But now show me how much money you spend on collaboration classes. Show me how much time is spent by the staff on a yearly or quarterly basis, people coming together to learn how to collaborate better, to have conversations about how to become better at collaborating and crossing the aisles. And that may sound a little crazy to some of you, but I can name the company for whom they do that. It's a client of mine, or former client of mine, so I can't really name them, but there's a real company that says, we care about collaboration so much. This is how much we care about it. Here's the money and the amount of time we invest. That is how I go.
That's like quantifiable, right?
You say you're
quantifying it to some extent.
And yes, exactly. That's what proof is. And I think in recruiting, we just go, we said it once, we're good to go, check the box, move along. And the truth is, candidates are insanely skeptical because most of those things, those boxes we checked, were crap. We just said the nice thing that sounded good, that looked good, and walked away. Or if I'm getting really cynical and salty, and yes, I haven't even begun to get cynical and salty, but here we'll start to get in there just a wee bit. Most of your job postings aren't about your company because you stole the copy from some other company, right? We get stuck writing a job posting. We go, well, what does that other company say? Oh, I like that. And you steal some paragraphs and some bullets and you stick it on yours. How can you be describing your thing by using their words? How is that even a thing? I said I get salty. Anyway, say you're transparent. Okay. That's cool. You care about transparency. Everybody likes to talk about their open door policy, blah, 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 blah. Show me you're transparent. Okay. How about, like Buffer does, I'm going to publish every salary of every person who works in the company on the career site. Every salary. Do you question their level of transparency after that? I don't. I go, got it. No, yes.
Very transparent.
Proof, underlined, got it. Next. There's no equivocation here. That is, okay, you embraced it. You're not just claiming transparency, you're showing me your transparency, which of course is a meta of transparent, but we'll have to get into that. That is what it takes sometimes. It's telling the story or offering a proof point. And sometimes it is just getting 10 people at your company to say, this is the story of what innovation at our company looks like in all these different teams. This is what the story of status looks like in all these different teams, or autonomy. It is telling the personal direct story. So it is the policy, the money, the program, or the stories. And those are the 4 ways in which you prove the claim so that people go, oh, if I really wanted status, I believe that I would get status there. And I can add it to the total value and offer. And then I can make my choice. So in a funny way, if you've got 2 jobs that are worth $100,000 and you do a really good job proving the value on offer, to some people, it's a $100,000 job because they don't want the value you offer. But to some people, it's a $120,000 job. Now imagine what that does to your talent pool when suddenly your job looks 20% more valuable than everybody else's job. Are you getting B- players now? No, you are getting the A players because you are paying the most. You're just offering the most value. And that is how you get the best possible people without involving comp and ben. Now, I want to kind of underline something because I just pulled a magic trick on you. I just showed how recruiting, generally the least powerful team in the entire freaking company, has the power to change the perception of the jobs on offer, thus attracting more of the people who are going to increase the value of the company. And you did it with words. Like, you didn't code anything. You didn't build a program. You just said and showed the thing. And you did it in such a compelling way that people went, I believe that. And I can decide if I want that. That is the power that every single recruiter and every single TA leader has now, that they choose not to use because they don't see it. They don't, it's you ever seen the movie, it's not Slackers. It's I'm blanking on the money. It's You're So Money and you don't even know it. What's that movie?
You're So
What's
Money.
that movie? Vince Vaughn.
I'll see if I can find it.
It's Vince Vaughn and yeah. Somebody's going to shout it in the chat. They're going to talk. Recruiters are so money they don't even know it. They don't even realize the power they have to make their jobs sound attractive and be more valuable. And they don't have. Look, there's no law that says your job postings have to be a series of bullets.
It says 1996 movie
and yet
Swingers.
Somehow that's what y'all do. Swingers, not Slackers. Swingers. That's a good one. That's a good one. You're so money. You don't even know it. That's the thing. You have that power today. You don't have to have your career site sound like everybody else. You don't have to have your job postings look and sound like everybody else. You don't have to have your social media channels filled with "we're hiring," which, by the way, means nothing to anybody not actively looking for a job. And if they are actively looking for a job, they're already applying for the job on Indeed and on the job boards. What was the purpose of that post? There's none at all. So if you know what makes you different and you prove that difference and you show the value and you create the value, you attract more of the people who your company and your hiring managers absolutely want now. That means, if I'm doing the math correctly, and I believe that I am, that means that you, as the recruiting leader or recruiter, are the chief growth officer, because you are the one bringing in the talent who makes the value inside that company. And it doesn't matter how the company is going to grow, what this company strategy is, it's people who make that happen. And by bringing in elevated people with more skills, more experience, better point of views, who can really see bigger and bring more value, that's because of you. You are not here, despite what the industry or the world seems to be telling us all, to push the paper. You are not here to put the seat in the butt or put the butt in the seat, depending on how you want to do those things. You are not here to push the buttons on the flippin' ATS, because I'm sorry, AI is going to take all that away from you. I'm sorry, it is. So your job as a recruiting leader, as a recruiter, is to understand the thing that is different about your company, very clearly tell the story of how you're different, such that someone who wants that difference goes, I can assign a mental value to that thing, and I can make a choice, because now you're attracting the kind of people who want that sort of thing. By the way, it's not just because you're attracting better. They actually want the thing that the company offers. They're excited to be there. They're not just, oh, it's another job. It's, this is where I've wanted to be. That's the difference between yet another job and the dream job, is it actually feeds them what they want. And all you had to do was show it to them. And that is what it means to be choosable. That is what it means to be a powerhouse inside the company, to grow the company, to add value at every single hire, every single level, every single team, to become more choosable. That is what it's all about. And with that, since I've been rambling on for a whole 30 minutes, I'm happy to take questions from anybody who feels the need to ask a question, or just likes to, or just wants to hear the sound of their voice, or just likes to type on a chat thing. I can take them audibly. I can take them in the chat. I can do whatever you want. Hopefully this was useful. And from there, I will sit and wait patiently.
And I've got one while people are thinking. Yeah, if you have specific questions like, hey, this is happening at my company, or that type of thing, like, you don't want to miss the chance to get some feedback from James, because he's got some good insights. But so you're talking about identifying the things that make you different, defining it, proving it. Talk to me just a little bit more about how do you identify those differentiators? Because I agree with you. It's about that, finding that alignment, right? Because you may do this one thing that somebody lights up over and somebody else doesn't care, and then you're making that, you're matchmaking, right? Exactly.
And that's
you
a good
want
thing.
The right people
and that's
for
a good
the right
thing.
reasons.
Yes.
But how do you go about systematically identifying those things?
Yeah. So my process, and by the way, it's a process I spelled out in a little book called Becoming Choosable, available on Amazon. See how I did that? That was so smooth. The segue, you didn't even feel it. You didn't even see it coming. That was amazing. Here's the process in a nutshell. To be different, you have to understand what you're being different from. If you claim that you're the only spotted dog and you've never seen another dog, how can you say you're the only spotted dog? And that's why I got a little bubble here. That the thumb, I don't know what's going on there. You got to understand what your competition is doing. So that means doing a competitive audit first, whether it's 3 companies that you compete with the most or 10. You can use AI, you can do it by hand, a lot of different ways to do this. But what you're really trying to do is look at these competitors and say, what is the thing they're offering that's trying to make them look different? Now, perfectly honest, 9 times out of 100 or 9 times out of 10, it's hard to see. It's like, oh, it's a lot of copycats. It's a lot of cookie cutters. It's a lot of, okay, samey. And that's pretty common. Like, and it's not a function of like cool industries or uncool industries. If I look at like biotech, which has money and brains to spare and coolness to out the wazoo, they all sound the damn same. And I'm sick of hearing companies like that saying, oh yeah, we save lives and we innovate. That's called being a biotech. I'm sorry. That's like saying, hey, you should buy this Ferrari. It's got 4 whole wheels. So you know. And you're like, what? Every car has 4 wheels. That's not differentiating. That's not helpful. But you have to understand what everybody's saying to see where the gaps might be. Yeah. And I like to do it in the order of look at other companies first and then look at yourself. Because if you start by looking at yourself, you put on the rose-colored glasses and like, oh, I know what that means. I can translate those words. Those 3 words there that say nothing to most human beings, I know what they mean. And so I can kind of project what they mean. That's not going to serve you. If you see those same 3 words on 5 other companies' career sites, you can go back to your own and go, oh, that's not helpful. I see now. Aha. So you start by looking at competition, and then you look at what you're saying now. Now, that is not to say that's all you're ever going to say. I'm saying this is the baseline. This is where you start. You can start to see where the opportunities are. Then you want to look inward and start to say, what are the things that are different? Now, when most people do focus groups around this stuff, what they usually ask are questions like, what's great about this company? And that's not useful because every company, every time I've ever seen that question asked, what is the number one answer? Not even close. The number one answer is, well, we really like each other here. Good for you. By the way, that's how people in foxholes talk when there's shots being fired at them, okay? That's how, oh yeah, I'm in with my brothers and sisters, we're getting shot away. I like the people I work with. Yeah. Bullets flying past, mortar shells going over you. Like, that's not exactly a compelling place to work. So the whole, I really like the people I work with, is such a BS. It's the sort of place where you're like, oh, is that all you can come up with? That must be a hellhole to work at. That must be a toxic dump of a place to work for. And the truth is, it doesn't matter how toxic your particular dump is. There's someone who goes, that's my particular dump. That is my place. I can see a way I can create value that serves me somehow. There is a lid for every single pot. And the place, and if you think back to all the places you worked, and some of them were doozies of bad places to work, they were a wonderful places to work for somebody else. So it's not about good or bad. And that is where things like Glassdoor and Wonderful Place to Work awards and stuff like that, that's why they get on my bad side, because there is no good or bad. Goldman Sachs makes you work 100-hour work weeks the first 2 years. And you're like, that sounds like a nightmare. Well, yeah, except you remember that at the end of it, you're rich, right? You never get to see the inside of a coach cabin on a plane ever again. You're first class for the rest of your life, baby. You're counting the money all you want. And for the people who show up, when the story is about how much work they had to do in those first 100-hour work week, when those stories came out, everyone's like, oh, no one's going to want to work there. Do you know that application numbers went up? Because it was like, oh, it must be true. The stories must be true. The work they had to put in and the reward they got at the end of the period. So it must be true. So therefore, if I want money, where else am I going to go? If I want money, I can't expect to work at a place that's easy. That sounds like a trick. That sounds like a scam. If I know I'm going to make a lot of money, I know I'm going to work really hard to find them. So that makes sense. So that was a story of proof, not a story of kind of bad mouthing. So there is neither good nor bad. It's simply a matter of what do you offer because someone wants that. So done your competitive analysis, you've looked at yourself, and then you dive in and you ask the question, what is different about this company? And I like to think of it, I generally ask the question in this order. First off, think of the place you would want to work. If this company didn't exist, where would you want to work and why? Because I think most people don't think kind of consciously about why, right? They just go, oh, I've heard good things. Like what? Like don't be afraid to kind of dig at it and kind of say, well, tell me, what did you hear? What did you like? Because it makes people start to think, oh, that's how I chose that. I must want these things because it's not a conscious conversation, an internal conversation most people have. So they just kind of jump to the job. So if you start them thinking about that, and then you ask them, so what's different about this company? And by the way, say as many things as you want. And when I say different, you'll notice I didn't say good. I didn't say bad. I said different. And both are going to be true, because the place that offers maximum autonomy is going to be great for somebody and it's going to be a nightmare for somebody else. And that's totally fine. But what is different? And you're going to do a focus group, and you maybe do asynchronous interviews and transcribe some stuff, or you might kind of scrape the engagement survey data. You got stuff laying around. You got Slack channels. Scrape that, baby. Scrape it all. Take it all, because that's real data. That's real stuff. Scrape it all and start to look for commonalities, buckets. Oh, wow. This and this seems to be the stories that keep popping up over and over and over and over again. Guess what? You found it. You found it. These are the concepts. Now, the problem most people have is they try to make this leap from, okay, I found the concept or concepts that makes the company different, turn it into a tagline. You're like, no, do not do that. Here's the thing. Even good employer branders are not necessarily the best marketers. And honestly, we're not expected to be great marketers. If you look at great marketing, let's take a tiny little drink company called Coca-Cola. They only spend $4.4 billion annually. That's $4.4 billion annually. So I think they might know a thing or two. What is Coke's brand? Now, if I asked 100 people what Coke's brand is, I might hear magic, this is it, I'd like to buy the world of Coke, refreshing. I'm going to see all these different words. And the truth is, out of 100 people, maybe 2 people will get the right answer, and that is happiness. Everything about Coca-Cola is geared towards triggering happiness. Polar bears, happiness. Santa Claus and Christmas, happiness. First dates, happiness. Go and hang out with your friends at the ball game, happiness. You will never, ever, 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 ever see a Coke commercial that says, oh, dude, I'm sorry she broke up with you. Have a Coke, you'll feel better. Never, because it's all about happiness. Do they say happiness very often? No, but they say words and show things that trigger happiness. So if you have done the bucket work and figured out the thing that makes you different, you don't just say, I'm going to turn that into a hashtag or a tagline and smack people in the face with it till they just go, okay, fine, I believe you. You understand that as a concept that is your North Star, and just assume that every month or 2 or 3, you're going to come up with a new way to talk about it. Whether it's a tagline, whether it's a story, whether it's a video, whether it's stories, there's all sorts of ways to kind of, and think of the campaign as fashion, right? Hemlines going up and down, lapels going up and down, bell bottoms, yes, bell bottoms, no, it's fashion. But in the end, we all got to wear clothes. So if your brand is all about collaboration, that's the concept. Start to tell stories, and you can tell stories. And so I'm thinking of a company I've done work for. Your collaboration story is, we work in an industry in which we're bringing in biochemists and engineers who don't normally talk to each other and frankly don't speak the same language even a little bit. And the only way for this business to succeed is for them to kind of cross the aisles and talk to each other. That requires collaboration. That is, the business isn't just saying collaboration's fun. They're saying our business success is predicated on our ability to collaborate. Next story. Okay, collaboration is professional development. When you are standing side by side with someone who's just as good at what they do as you are at what you do, you have to teach them what you do, but you get to learn from them. You are becoming better at what you do. It's professional development. So you can start to find all these different ways to talk about collaboration, and they change and they float, and new story, old story, doesn't matter. But you are starting to say, we're all about collaboration in all these different ways. Hey, what do the lawyers say about collaboration? Well, we believe this. What do the salespeople say about collaboration? Well, we talk about this. Find the teams that you're like, those teams don't ever collaborate. They have a collaboration story. It's not as compelling necessarily as others, but to a lawyer where they don't do much collaboration, it's like, oh yeah, that's real collaboration for a lawyer, right? So that's really what it is. So once you identify your kind of concept, then you kind of circle it with communication touch points and stories.
Man, I really like the looking outside and looking inside, those 2 pieces of seeing the competitors in the inside. That's very powerful. And obviously there's,
if you don't look outside, you're just talking to yourself. And you do that plenty as it is, who cares? And if you only look outside and don't understand how you're different, you're trying to fit yourself into other people's kind of spots, and you offer something different. There is something interesting and different about you.
Yeah, and I agree. Speaking of like Glassdoor and the others, every company that is on the best place to work list has 5 stars and 1 stars. There's someone who has great experience there and someone who doesn't, and so it's about telling those stories and finding alignment.
here's the thing about Glassdoor that people don't get, and it's crazy because it's been 15 years since Glassdoor really started. And you think by now we'd all kind of rock this, and we don't. Glassdoor has spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars convincing us all that that little score between 0 and 5 is our score, is the company score. It is not. It is the score of how well you established accurate expectations. Because if you said, come work for us, Goldman Sachs, you're going to work your ass off, we're going to beat you up, but it's going to be the hellacious place to work for 2 years, but at the end of it, you're going to make a whole lot of money. 5 stars, because that's exactly what you got. You said, I wanted that. I showed
Managing
up.
expectations.
I got that. 5 stars. But if you said it's puppy dogs and daisies, and every Thursday it's tickle fights, and everybody's having a great time, and it's free cocoa in the coffee machine all day you want, and there's no cocoa, 2 stars. They lied to me. So it's a score of expectations.
I totally agree with that, especially from our perspective at Mobrium, where that's what we do, is we help with those ratings and reviews. Well, we're here at the end. Man, James, thank you. Talk about a lot of insights and fun, and go deeper in the book for sure. That's going to be in my basket here in just a bit after the call. I think it's a great opportunity to think about this differently, instead of just the kind of typical conversations with EVP, and really managing those expectations is huge. So to everybody on the call today, just kind of a heads up for our next events next month. We'll have the privilege of hearing from Afi, and she's going to be talking about a pretty important topic of seeing those warning signs before someone quits. So kind of building upon this conversation of getting people in the door for the right reasons. When we have those people here, we want to be able to continue managing expectations and have that open dialogue to maximize their success along the way, because as our teams are successful, we're successful as a company. And then just kind of closing, thanks for joining us for this month's event in the Mobrium webinar series. If you have any questions on ratings and reviews, we're also here to help. And we do kind of like what James was saying, doing that competitive analysis. We do that as well on the reputation piece specifically. So if you want us to do that, that's free. Just message us. We're happy to. And I would highly encourage everyone to connect with James on LinkedIn, follow his content. We'll send out his information, his link in the follow-up as well. So thank you everyone for being here. And until next time, we'll see you then.